Great. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Wildlife Conservation Network's first closer look. We are excited to have you all here with us today, and we're excited to be kicking off a real new program that is designed to give you that real inside look into what it takes to make conservation happen on a daily basis. This presentation, as opposed to our expo presentations, will focus on a specific issue, so really give you that peek behind the curtain to see what these conservationists go through on a daily basis. We are excited to launch this series, and we're excited to launch this series with our good friends at Iwasso Lions. Today we have Shivani Bala, the Executive Director of Iwasso Lions, and Resan Kantai Duff, the Deputy Director of Iwasso Lions, and we might be joined by a special guest, one of our warriors towards the end. Today we'll be focusing on the warriors and the lions that they protect. So we're going to get a real peek and see what their lives are like. At the end of the presentation, we'll open the field for questions. So this is also really about all of you and what you want to know about wildlife conservation and Iwasso Lions. So just go ahead and put your questions in the chat or in the Q&A, and we will do our best to get to all of them throughout the presentation. I think that's about it. Again, any questions just in the chat or the Q&A there, and we'll kick it over to Shivani and Rasan. Ladies, thank you for being here.
Thank you, Kelly.
Wow, thank you so much. This is so wonderful. And thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today and for taking time out of a busy Friday to come and listen to more about Iwaso Lions, this organization that many of you, I'm sure, who are here know, and hopefully there are some that are learning about us for the first time. So for those of you who may or may not know us, you will see this map in front of you. This is where Iwaso Lions is based. We are based on along this spectacular river and this beautiful ecosystem. This river is called the Iwasaniro River, and this is where Iwaso Lions gets its name. And we are in the middle of these three reserves. There's Buffalo Springs, there is Shaba, and Samburu National Reserve. And this is where lions live, but lions also live outside of these reserves. And we are actually based outside of the reserves because lions live alongside people. In fact, 70% of all wildlife lives outside of the parks. They live with people. And it is in this landscape where lions and people and wildlife share this space. They share this space along with their livestock. It is such an important and vast landscape. We work in about 4,500 square kilometers within community lands. And the communities that, there we go, the communities that live in this area look a lot like him. This is Larry Mara. He is somebody who works with Iwaso Lions. He's part of our team, and he is Samburu. There are several other ethnic groups that live along this river and in this ecosystem. There are the Samburu, the Borana, the Turkana, and one thing that they all share is a love for their livestock. They are all pastoralists who take their livestock through this land and through this land that they own and through this ecosystem. And it is these camels and cows and goats that mean so much to people. They are part of their identity. They are part of their bank. And they are so critical for the people who live here and to this culture. And it is this culture that has also kept lions roaming in this landscape. But lions across Africa are in trouble. There are only about 20,000 lions left on this continent. In fact, there are only about 6 countries that host more than 1,000 lions. And lions have disappeared from 92% of their historical range. And in Kenya, we are only left with about 2,500 lions. So why is this happening? What is happening to lions that they're disappearing like this? Well, for us in Kenya and in northern Kenya, our landscape now looks a little like this. We are in the midst of a very severe drought. In fact, we're happy today to report that it has rained in Samburu, and we're so excited for the rain, but there hasn't been rain for a very long time. And when there hasn't been rain, or when we are in this kind of climate emergency, as a lot of the world is, where the landscapes are degraded and we're going through periodic droughts, the landscape looks like this. There is, as you can see, not enough grass, and lions really need that grass, because lions' food needs food. We often joke and say lions need grass. And when you look at this landscape, you can really see why. When a lion is really struggling to find prey and struggling to find cover to maybe raise cubs and just go through this landscape, it is very difficult. And when they can't find enough food, they will go after people's livestock. This is very difficult, because as understandably, people will be very annoyed when a lion goes after their bank, goes after such an important part of who they are. And so people will then go after lions, and they will spear them or poison them or shoot them. And this has happened quite a few times, unfortunately, in the time that we've had our project. This is Letoye, and he is sitting with just the head of one of his favorite lions that had just been killed that day. This is several years ago. And you can see in Letoye's face how difficult this was for him, who has been tracking this lion every single day. But it was also a very difficult day for the community, who was so angry because this lion had gone after one of their camels. And so this is a challenge that we face so often in the ecosystem. So what are we doing about it? What are we doing to change this narrative and to change this issue of retaliatory killing? Well, enter Jeneria Lekilele. We're quite happy he's not here today, because he would not like that we're using this picture again, this picture of him 15 years ago, very green, very young, and just starting out as one of the first members of Iwasso Lions. And Jeneria, that was then, and 15 years ago, and that was 15 years ago, and this is him now. And he has grown so much. At that time, initially, he didn't know what he was doing, but he knew why. And you can see that he has grown into this incredible conservation leader that has been sought after and continues to be sought after across the landscape for his wisdom and just his sheer capability and courage in the work that he does. He is the one who started and conceptualized the Warrior Watch program. And he did this because he said, the people who are going after these lions whenever they kill livestock are the warriors. They are the people who are tasked with taking care of their family's wealth. And they are really important, but never quite involved and never quite brought to the decision-making table. And so Jeneria said, we need to bring them to the decision-making table, and we need to have them say what they feel they can do in this situation. And so they then joined the program. Jeneria started off with just 5 warriors, and we've grown into a much larger team. And it is these warriors that go out every day to track lions. They track lions with the same skills that they would have used to track them to kill them, but instead they track them to tell everybody else where these lions are. And this helps herders to know exactly where they should be taking their goats and their cows and their camels on a daily basis, so that the landscape can return to a landscape of coexistence. And this network is so critical for keeping lions alive in this ecosystem. They track them on foot, and they track lions as well in cars. It's so critical and important for our team to be able to get out as quickly as possible every morning by car, to go out and make sure that they can stop conflict in further flung areas before it starts, to check on the lions and monitor them and make sure that we're keeping everything on an even keel. We also know them by face. All of these warriors know the lions by their whisker spot patterns. And you can see here one warrior drawing those whisker spot patterns and knowing intimately each and every lion that he is tracking. And this is a skill that has actually also led to relationships that the warriors have with these lions. And of course, we also radio collar lions. And very often, wildlife are radio collared for research purposes. And we do have that, but we also track them specifically to save their lives. There are dispersing males that sometimes end up in areas that are close to villages or close to people's livestock. And once those males and some of the females are also collared, we're able to track them and be able to get to them. Every morning we get an alert and say, okay, this is where the lions are. And we're able to go out, and the warriors are able to go out to make sure that they can keep people's livestock safe and they can keep the lions safe. Now, often at this point, we segue into talking about the conservationists. We talk about the people who do this work, because lion conservation is truly about people. And we really highlight the work that they do and who they are. But today we've chosen to do something special, which is to highlight the lions that we see every day. We realize that we know these stories so well, and we know these lions so well and intimately, and the warriors that you have just met know them very well. But we want to share that with you today. And so I'm going to hand over to Shivani to share a little bit more about some of the lions that we're seeing and their stories.
Thank you, Rasan. The Iwaso Lions, and there is no more commonly seen lion than this beautiful lioness, Nanai. And we have known her since 2010 when she was born. And Jenneria and I, we followed her and her little pride right through the middle of Samburu National Reserve. And she was always the one lagging behind. She was right behind the rest of the pride, always last to keep moving. And Jenneria said, this is my favorite lion, and I'm going to name her today. She's called Nanai, which means belonging to me. We have spent so many years following Nanai, watching her life through this landscape, watching her have so many cubs. But last September, Jenneria and I were driving from Nanyuki to Samburu when we got a report that a very injured lion was seen in one of the areas we work in. We responded very quickly, as we do every time we get a report of an injured lion or any report at all, whether it's conflict or injuries, we are there. We drove to that area. It was a very, very rocky area, quite hard to get to, big black rocks, but we managed to maneuver our way through. And sure enough, we saw a lioness sitting under a tree. She stood up and she walked really slowly. And as you've seen in this video, she was really struggling to put foot weight on her right rear leg. And as we were watching her, Jenneria and I were whispering to each other. And I heard him say in a very low, anguished voice, he said, "Oh my gosh, if this is Nanai." And I could just hear the pain in his voice, seeing his favorite lion in so much pain. We were worried that she might have been shot. This was an area where lions are shot sometimes. And we responded quickly. We called the veterinarian to come and assess her. The Kenya Wildlife Service vet came really quickly, and he was able to dart her and treat her. We were so relieved to see that, in fact, it was not a gunshot. What the vet suggested is it looked like an oryx wound. An oryx is a huge antelope with very, very sharp horns. And it's a very brave lion that would go after an oryx, but Nanai is definitely a brave lion. The vet told us she would be fine, and we just had to keep a very close eye on her to make sure she would cope for the next couple of weeks before she could put weight on her legs. And every single day, our team kept such a close eye on Nanai. Let Pukwa, Mantelli, Paresi, Jenneria, all of us were out there every single day, watching her day and night, keeping her safe and making sure livestock didn't come close, herders didn't come close, and other lions didn't come close as well. She couldn't hunt, and we were really hoping she would at least join up with the rest of her group. She was part of a very small pride, her cousin Kasis and Nanai's oldest offspring. And then finally, a few weeks later, I was out in the middle of Samburu National Reserve, and who was to walk right in front of me along the river was Nanai. And I was thrilled to see her putting all the weight on her legs. And you could see a slight limp, but she was generally moving through, and we realized that she was going to be okay. And very soon after that, Nanai hunted a warthog with the rest of her group, and we were thrilled. We realized that all that care the team had taken had brought Nanai back. And this was the second time she had been injured in 1 year. She definitely keeps our team on our toes. And then in December, we were out, and of course, the first person to see Nanai again was Jenaria. And she wasn't alone. She was with these 4 little cubs. And we suspected that time we treated her back in September, we suspected she was pregnant. And sure enough, these 4 little amazing cubs were with her in December. And again, we saw them in January. I had the privilege of spending time with Jenaria and these cubs. And there is nothing more joyful than seeing 4 little cubs with their mother, especially a lioness as special to us as Nanai. And you can hear now in Jenaria's voice what this really meant to him.
I'm so happy to see all 4. Nanai is my favorite lion, the little cubs. So happy. You can see how they're playful. Our mother resting.
We have seen Nanai's cubs many times now since January, including this morning. John was out this morning and he saw Nanai and the 4 cubs and sent us some videos. She's an extraordinary mother. This might be the last litter of cubs she has, but we are just so privileged that we get to see these cubs and Nanai really thrive in this landscape. This great big river that we have right in front of us, the Iwasaniro River, for so long we had heard that it ends in a place called the Lorien Swamp. Now, none of us had actually been to this swamp, the Lorien Swamp, but it's something we've heard of so many times. It's very far downstream from us, many kilometers. And last month, we were requested by the Northern Rangelands Trust and the Kenya Wildlife Service to join them as they did a biodiversity assessment in this region, the Lorien Swamp. We were very excited to do that. We had heard reports from the community that there were lions there. We also knew that this was an area where an invasive species was taking over. This dark green bush you see behind in this picture is known as Prosopis, also in this language known as Mathenge. And Mathenge has just taken over this landscape. It is an impenetrable bush. It's very, very thick. It's so hard for people to get through, livestock to get through, but lions have made this their home. It's the perfect habitat for them because it's such thick bush and they feel safe there. What we'd also heard is that the Iwasaniro River dries up well before this area, and there's very little water now. There's only some very deep holes that the community have dug where they have access to water. You can see donkeys in this photo, donkeys that are helping the community ferry water in jerry cans from these deep holes back to the village not far away. But right next to these donkeys are lions. And we were also getting reports that during the day, lions were coming out of these thick bushes and attacking these donkeys. So conflict was high. We also heard the community really want lions here. They are in a new conservancy. They've set up a new conservancy and they want lions, but they need help in trying to see how they can live with lions, considering they're losing so much livestock to lions. So this is where our team stepped in. We were really excited to have 3 of our team join the Northern Rangelands Trust, the Kenya Wildlife Service, and the National Museums of Kenya. Thomas, John, and Peresi, a month ago, joined the teams and headed off to the Lorien Swamp. And it was really interesting what they saw. They saw these deep holes that we'd heard so much about, where the community are really digging deep down. But right down there, they are also seeing lion tracks. The lions are getting right down here drinking from these holes because it's the only source of water. They also saw the carcass of a lion found deep inside the Mathenge bushes, realizing that, yes, there are lions here, but lions are also struggling here. And using some callbacks, so we had a speaker which plays the sounds of a animal in distress. This attracts lions. And our team said, we're going to use this callback to see if the lions will come close to this area we're in so we can actually see them, because no one has seen these lions. They see tracks, they hear them, but they've not actually seen them. And we were so lucky. We'd just received a pair of night vision binoculars. And with those, we were able to see these lions. So take a look at this video. Here are two male lions, big, fully grown adult males with big manes. One of them was limping. And then right next to them, two females and three cubs. So our team got to see 7 lions in this area. The reports were saying that there's more than this, but this was such a great indication that lions are in this area, an area we knew nothing about, an area very few people knew anything about. But here is this unique lion population surviving alongside communities, searching for water, searching for food, and surviving in this thick Mathenge bushes. We are now having discussions with the Northern Rangelands Trust. How can we support that conservancy? How can we help them to continue to coexist with lions in this area? So stay tuned, because over the next few months, we hopefully will have much more to say about the lions of Lorien. For so long, we have seen such amazing success with lions surviving and thriving outside protected areas. Lions who were born inside the protected areas of Samburu National Reserve, Buffalo Springs, and Shaba would previously leave these areas and get into so much trouble, often they would be killed. But this has changed over the last decade, and now we have lions moving permanently outside into the community landscape, and not just staying temporarily there, but thriving there and breeding there. And there's no one that shows this more than this very special lioness to our team, Naramat. Her name means the caring one. And she was born back in 2008. And again, Janaria and myself and the team have followed her ever since she was a little cub inside the park and when she moved outside. She taught us so much about what it's like for lions who live alone. She taught us that lions out in these areas actually live a solitary nature. And I grew up here in Kenya, and I used to go on safari with my parents in Masai Mara and Amboseli, and I'd always see big prides of lions. So when I moved here 20 years ago, I expected to see that, only to discover by following Naramat and Magilani and other lions that actually for them to survive, the best way of survival is to live alone. And Naramat showed us that. The community was so interested in her, so tolerant of her. They would ask us about her all the time. How is Naramat? What is she doing? What is she hunting? We put a radio collar on her, and she showed us new key areas that our team needed to work on to keep those areas intact and safe. She highlighted a very key corridor between this area right near our camp to a conservancy south of us called Ilingwezi. And through that information, we were able to see, why is she in Ilingwezi? What's keeping her there? We learned so much that really it was just about water, food, and thick habitat, the 3 things lions need in order to survive in these community landscapes. She was an extraordinary female, and we had the real pleasure of spending so many hours watching her. But sadly, about a year ago, we got a phone call from Stephen, one of our coordinators who works in Ilingwezi. And Stephen called us and said, come quickly. I think Naramat's very badly injured. She's in a tree. I can't get close to her, but I know she's injured because I can see blood all around her. And Janaria and the team responded so quickly, as they always do. Janaria, Toby, Marco, Peresi rushed around. It took them 4 hours to get there. and they joined Stephen. And sure enough, they identified her as being Naramat in the bushes. And they called the vet quickly. They called the vet and said, you've got to come quickly. Naramat's in real trouble. And he came and he darted her and assessed her. And he told our team, her injuries are too grave. We're going to have to euthanize her. And it was so difficult for our team, so difficult to accept that. The one good thing is she was not shot, because we were so worried Naramat had suffered from a gunshot wound. But in fact, Naramat had been attacked by another lion. As the vet did a post-mortem on Naramat, they found that she was carrying 4 unborn fetuses, which was devastating for our team. I was getting these messages in camp and I couldn't imagine what Jenneria and the team were going through. They came back to camp, our team of 5. Stephen was feeling so sick he had to go to hospital. Jenneria said, I have to go home. I need to recover. Paresi also said he had to go home. Toby was really struggling to process this. And Marco, who is always singing and always loud and always giving us stories, was quiet for the first time we've ever known. It was so hard for our team to lose this very special lioness who was the symbol of coexistence, the story of Iwaso Lions. But what gives us hope is her amazing legacy continues. Her oldest offspring, Mara Roy, Narasha, Masanduku, 3 amazing females, 2 are still alive. They live just upstream from us, and they again continue what Naramat started. And it doesn't end there. They gave birth to 3 cubs last year, and we've got to spend so much time with these cubs, keeping them alive in the last couple of months. Let Pukwa and Lemen work so hard together with Kassian to really ensure that these lions continue with Naramat's legacy and coexistence continues. Rasan, over to you.
It just gives me so much joy looking at these lions and thinking about how far and wide this work of coexistence is happening. And, you know, it's happening because of the nurturing of new community leaders. And Jenneria is at the heart of that. And the Warrior Watch program is at the heart of that, of making sure that local people, that young men and young women and people of all ages are able to participate in conservation and are able to make these decisions that keep these lions alive. And we know that it's working. We know because through our Warrior Watch evaluations in 2012 and 2017, we were able to really see firsthand that these warriors who are in this program feel far more socially and politically empowered. And this is what is allowing these lions to continue to live and to thrive. And they are doing it in the context of the culture of conservation. And the culture of conservation, so often we kind of put wildlife aside and put, you know, the cultures aside, but they are actually so inextricably linked. It is this Samburu culture that is keeping these lions alive. And we as Iwaso Lions really try to keep in step with the culture, the seasons, and the changes that are happening in this evolving culture to make sure that we are keeping this, because it is the culture of pastoralism that has kept these lands open for wildlife for all these generations. And it is people who have continued the culture of coexistence. And so just in the last 3 years, we have watched a major transition happen in the culture, and young boys became warriors, and young warriors who have grown up through the same years, you know, as Jenneria has had them in the Warrior Watch program, graduated to become junior elders. And as they graduated, we asked, what would you like to be called now that you are no longer warriors? And they said, we want to be called the Lion Governors. And these are our new Lion Governors. They've only been around for a couple of years. They have been in the team for a decade and more. and they are sitting at the highest decision-making table for lions in this community. They have come full circle and they are able to speak for lions in new higher heights. And as they shifted and became junior elders and became our lion governors, so too did we take on new warriors. So last year, 2021, we took on 7 new warriors, and these are them. All these vibrant, young, very energetic. We didn't realize we were missing that young and that youthful energy. And these are our new warriors who are tracking lions every day, who are learning lions through the whisker sports, who are going out to solve conflict and learning how to work with their counterparts to make sure that this culture of coexistence continues for more generations to come.
This is our amazing Iwaso Lions team, a 100% African team where they have made conservation a way of their life. They've always been conservationists and they put everything into it. They are so passionate and they inspire me every single day. This is what conservation is. This is about lion conservation, as Rasan said, is about people. It's about the communities that live alongside lions. It's about the women who are now speaking up about lions through our Mama Simba program. It's about the children who are a new generation of conservationists. Through our Lion Kids camp, so many children are becoming conservationists there that very same day. Often a lot of people say people are the problem to all the problems that wildlife are facing, but absolutely not. Here is an example where people are the solution. They have such pride and ownership and immense dedication in what they do. Iwaso Lions is not me and Rasan, it is this extraordinary team. And we have one agenda, and that is our mission of continuing to promote coexistence throughout this landscape. We have had so much happen over the last 15 years. Our lion population is now stable. Just last year alone, we had 7 cubs born. All of them survived. We had 11 cubs born in 2020. The warriors have stopped the killing of lions hundreds of times in the last 3 years alone. They've had a 94% success rate. Herders are doing so much better at looking after the livestock because of what they learn at our Lion Kids camps. We have seen lions breed successfully outside. We have seen lions recover in areas where they weren't before. For example, up in the Matthews Range, there were no lions there for 30 years. Lions have come back. And we have new populations like the population out in the Lorient Swamp. In 2020, we were able to save livestock belonging to the community amounting to about $25,000. We've also learned this new way of how lions live, this solitary nature. Our impact has been huge. The team has given so much and continue to give every single day. This journey of coexistence continues. And that is exactly what it has been for the last 15 years. A tremendous journey. And today, we would love for you to join our journey. Get to know us, get to know our work, spread the word, share the news, and invest in Warrior Watch, which is one of our current needs that Iwaso Lions is looking for. Every single amount counts. Every single amount donated through the Wildlife Conservation Network comes straight here to Samburu and helps our team really secure a future for lions here in northern Kenya. Thank you so much to all of you for listening to us today. Please follow us on social media. Write to me and Rasan. We would love to hear from you. And we do have lots of time for questions, and Rasan and I are thrilled to answer them. And we do have a special guest. We have Kassian here with us. He's one of our new warriors. And he's also really happy to answer any questions you might have about his work or him being a warrior. Thank you all again.
Wonderful, guys. That was amazing. Thank you so much for sharing what your team is doing and sharing your love of the lions. It's so passionate and it comes through so well. You know, I think I've said a million times over, if I could bottle your energy, I could save the world. But in lieu of that, we'll just have to welcome you to webinars and expo and all of those good things. So I'd love to move into some of the questions that we've had. We've had a lot of great questions, so we're going to do our best to get through most of them. If we don't get to them, again, as Shivani said, please feel free to reach out. We will answer them as best we can, and we'll get back to you about emails or things like that. So let's start with a couple of biology questions. Louise was wondering if the lions are collared and how that helps in their tracking. Shiv, maybe you can
Shivani, would
take
you
that
like to
one.
take that?
Okay, sure. Yes. So we do have lions that are collared. Currently, we have 3 lions collared, and we're hoping to put some more collars on. As Rasan said, the collars are really helping us keep the lions alive, because by knowing exactly where they are, we can communicate that message to the herders. So we have 2 males at the moment collared and 1 female, and hopefully many more to come. It is such a vital part of our work, and it's really helping us identify those key corridors, identify safe refuges. And through that information, we can really then work with communities and also help us work with conservancy managements to keep certain areas intact and safe for not just lions, but other carnivores as well. So the collaring work is absolutely critical, and we are really hoping to do a lot more in the near future.
Yeah.
Great, thank you.
There are two messages we get every morning. One is a lion location, and the second is a message from one of the team saying, I'm going there. So that should answer, yes, we do have collared lions, and this helps save them every day.
That's amazing. Rasan, maybe you can address this one. Ronnie's wondering about, are solitary lions the norm only in some specific areas, or has there been a chance to understand why they're solitary there in Samburu?
Actually, I have to give this one to Shivani, because this is what she does all the time to try and learn this. And also the fact that she spent 2 years looking for one solitary lion. I think she must answer this question.
I did spend 2 years looking for one lion, and I knew she was in the bushes, and she finally came out, and I kept looking for the rest. Like, where are the rest? Why is she alone? Only to realize that's her. Magilani used to live alone, and she was the first lioness back in 2009 that we learned that this is their best way of living. The best way of survival is to live alone, because it's not easy for a lion in this area. They're surrounded by people. There's almost no wild prey for them. Their habitat is constantly under threat, whether it's being burned, the burning of bushes is a problem, whether it's settlements cutting across, whether it's corridors being blocked. They're constantly facing so many threats. But the issue of wild prey is a big one. We have very little wild prey left for lions here because there's no grass. And the best prey for lions is actually small to medium-sized prey. And we have seen over the years that warthogs tend to be their favorite choice. And one warthog for a whole pride of lions won't go very far, but one warthog with one lion is a great meal. So we've just discovered that it is their best way of living, is just to be solitary. This is not the only place where you do have solitary lions. Namibia also has solitary lions, and it's now becoming more of a norm. I think in places where lions are really struggling in order to survive, they just adapt and they live alone. When their cubs are 1.5 years old, they push them off. And that's, again, not really normal. If you go to places like Masai Mara, you'll see cubs staying with the mothers for 4 years. Here, it's like 1.5, you're on your own, including the females. The females have to fend for themselves. And the males are also solitary and very active. So if anyone says lions are boring and sleeping all day, it's not true. Our males are incredibly active and always on the go because they have to survive. It all boils down to survival.
I know you always talk about those lazy Mara lions, right?
Dude, they're fat, lazy, and spoiled.
Right everywhere. We have a great question from Geraldine for Cassian. Cassian, can you tell us what you like about your job?
Solomon, translate. Okay, we're going to translate.
Translate here. Shiv, he speaks Samburu, right?
Speak Samburu, no Swahili. So I have Solomon here translating from English to Samburu and then Samburu to back to us. So give us 1 second. Okay.
One of the things I love is how many languages everybody there speaks. I've got one.
What did he say?
Yes, Kassian is saying because I'm responsible to take care of everything while I'm out looking after my livestock. Also, I'm out there to look after the lion that I'm working on.
I don't know if you heard that, but basically he's responsible. Did you hear that? Okay, great.
Go ahead and repeat it.
Oh, he said his responsibility is to look after lions, and even when he's out there with his livestock, he's still looking after the lions. So he really likes that. He feels it's his responsibility.
I love that. I've got one more for him, actually. Somebody's asking about the color red, that they've heard that red is a color that lions are attracted to. And if that's true, why do Samburu wear red? Or is that just a myth?
Nyota amata due Ramadan taringati injok chok si ele avak do agando kitana na nyike tana show nangana nyike tana si apake garen ko ane de bisham Samburu na show ate apake garen do tana show ndo na nyike.
He finds this a really fun question.
Juga nanu jadi nanya gue karena dogel kayak ke pingpil baga pada na bangga ngaranya gini nake gue naga langkara kena dogel gitu loh koblo na dogel lalu merah karena dogel merah nak kalau kena dogel sembah garing bi na umur nalu merah war naga merah na bagol kayak aja tanah soal lagi izin nak ada nak kalau merah dogel akhirnya ini dogel begini garing gue bagol dogel nak soal nggak bakal.
Well, Kassian is saying because it is culture-wise. Always Moran, for you to differentiate a Moran and a boy or another man, he must have a red ochre in his head, and also it's part of decoration to wear red clothes.
Okay, so he said it's part of his culture to distinguish between a warrior, a boy, and another man. And so they have to wear red. And it's also decoration. So they do like wearing red a lot.
That must be a myth about it being loved by lions.
I mean, it's a funny story though, Kelly. Every time, people come here and they see us in reds and out with really strange colors looking for lions. They're like, but why are we wearing browns and greens? And I'm like, I don't know. Wear reds.
The safari uniform.
The safari clothes.
That's right. Here's actually a really great question from Mark about the warrior program. Are the warriors paid?
Rasan, go for it.
Yes, the warriors are paid. So I think initially when Generia started the program and the work, and this was, kind of at the point where things were, what was needed was happening. And at that time they got stipends, but what they really wanted was to learn to read and write. And so we set up a warrior school for them. And so they were going to school every Saturday. Was it Saturday or Sunday? Because I know it was Saturday and the women was Sunday. So the Saturday school was for warriors, and they would go, every week. And that was what was very important for them. But of course, as culture has evolved and as the organization and the work that we do has grown and become much more extensive, yes, the warriors must be paid in order to do this work, because sometimes they're out, as you've heard from the stories about Nanai and the stories about, the Lorien, the Lions of Lorien. You're out away from your family for a very long time. And it's really important that, we must balance all of these things. People are people. So yes, they are paid, and it's something that's very important and quite a big part of our budget to continue to keep up. Yeah.
Yeah, and I know that you guys did an awesome job of keeping that up through the pandemic, and that you were able to keep all your staff working, and that was critical to the success of Lions. So thank you for committing to that and doing that. I'm going to switch gears a little bit. We're getting a few questions about the wild prey base, I think, because we were talking a little bit about that. But is there an effort to increase prey for these lions in the area? And is it possible?
It's a good question for Hassan. Yeah, go for it, Hassan.
Yes. So this is a very important part of what we are planning to do now, but it is also a very important part of our partners' work. So we work hand in glove with the Grevi Zebra Trust, and their work is very much around keeping these critically endangered zebras alive and growing their population. And that, of course, helps lions, because those zebras are also lion prey. They don't like to be reminded of that, but they are. And as they do that, they're also improving rangelands and making sure that there is more grass, so that there is more prey, and so that there are more different herbivore species in this area. And so it's kind of a cycle, because the more herbivores that there are, the more trampling that there is, and then the more grass that there could be. And so that is one of the major things that the Grevi Zebra Trust do, and we work with them quite a lot on that. And we are also working now with them on making sure that there is better land management and land planning. And this is work that we are, just it's in its nascent stages of this partnership that we are working out. And Generia has been very busy working with the community in Westgate to ensure that people start to really think about what space there is for their livestock and what space there is for other wildlife to thrive in this ecosystem.
Great. A couple people have actually asked a question that's, I know, a huge conservation question, but maybe you can boil it down for us about compensation for lost livestock. Is that something that's done in Kenya?
Yes. Shivani, would you like to go for that?
Okay, sure. So compensation takes place with a few private compensation schemes that have been set up in southern Kenya, but they're very hard to keep sustainable, to keep going. And culturally, for us, right at the beginning of Iwaso Lions, discussing with our team and the community, it wasn't something that fit because of so many reasons. But what we do have in the country is a government compensation scheme. So the Kenya Wildlife Service does do compensation for livestock loss or farm loss or any loss to wildlife. And what we have started doing in the last, almost since last July, is we've been helping livestock owners who are losing livestock to lions. We're helping them get to the Kenya Wildlife Service stations to file their compensation claims, because previously it was so hard for them to get there. They had a very short time to file that claim, and often they have no means to get there because it's a couple of hours away on a motorbike. So we are now facilitating that. We're putting livestock owners on our motorbikes, taking them to the Kenya Wildlife Service station, making sure they fill out their claims, and then taking them back home. And we've done that probably since last July over 10 times. So this is something that the community are really grateful for. It's a new thing we have started doing, and we're working really closely with the Kenya Wildlife Service on that. So it's not us directly doing compensation, but we're helping the communities get their compensation from the Kenya Wildlife Service through just making it easier for them.
That's awesome. It again reminds me that conservation isn't just about the wildlife, right? It's about cars and trucks and getting people to where they need to be, and all of the things that have to go into your program to make it successful. We've got a couple people asking about what a warrior's day looks like. What's a typical day bring, and what's it take to protect and track the lions? So maybe Shiv, maybe you can toss a little bit of that to Cassie and answer some yourself.
Yeah, so ask question, what's his day look like? What does he do from morning to evening?
Kayu mana yo, aja macam aku tu kata sekarang, mbak katipa, na yo ya jangan hanya saya sih nakata pon.
Karena untuk senasa nada umpur kayak gini mana ini nal nado kayak gitu dua kan masih dua kan ada juga nado dari tengah buku dua kan itu makan nado itu nado umpur lain cuma buku dua kan ada gitu nunggu apa cek nano pemit kayak apa sampai anak ini cek orang kayak sudah kayak di mata sabuk dua kayak nasiak milia kan cek nasi punya kan aja cuma gitu kan aja ini di sampai.
In the morning, every time when we can had lands in a certain place, You go to that area, check whether the lions are still in that area, and then stay there. Whenever the livestock come, they talk to the herders and tell them lions are here. Look after your goats very well and take them away from the area where the lions are.
So every time Cassian knows lions are in a certain area, he'll head out there, follow their tracks, find the areas the lions are hiding in, and then communicate that message to any herders, making sure that they look after their livestock better. So Cassian is one of the warriors that lives with us actually in camp. So he monitors this whole area. And we do have lions very close to our camp. And every morning, as Rason said, we get the WhatsApp message about where the lion is. And Cassian is the one who responds immediately if it's here. Our other warriors are quite far away, so they work from their homes. So they're scattered throughout this landscape we work in. And so they're monitoring lions in different areas, and their role is very similar. Some areas they have less lions. Sometimes the lions will disappear for a couple of weeks, but then the lions will come back, and we're all in radio communication with each other. So every single morning at 7 o'clock, everyone calls in and says, I'm here following tracks in this area, I'm here. Or sometimes one warrior will communicate to another saying, looks like the lions have moved to your area. So now I'm handing over to you, look for lions in your area, which is why radio communication is so important. So there's constant communication. There's just at morning and evening, and the warriors are just working literally throughout this landscape, tracking. They're the best trackers. I mean, you can't get better than these guys, and also spotters as well. I mean, for so long I was driving around looking for lions alone. I mean, that was really the most pointless exercise. You need to go with one of these guys and you'll find the lion straight away. So yes, it's about finding lions, tracking them, keeping them safe, communicating to herders. And also one thing I've been really excited to see them do recently, we've just had our first lion kids camps in 2 years. Because of COVID, we couldn't bring children together for 2 years. And now in the past month, we've had back-to-back lion kids camps. Evanson and our team are absolutely flat out, literally camp after camp. But the warriors have been joining, and they've been talking to the children too about herding and about lions. And it's been really great to see Cassian and some of the other warriors not only helping, but talking to all these children at the Lion Kids camps. So their roles are so varied. And as Rasan said, it's just really exciting to have this new energy come into the project. It's been amazing.
That's great.
And it's amazing to think of Cassian standing up and talking to the children in kids camp, considering he was one of the children in kids camp. And for him, he's really coming full circle. He joined kids camp many years ago and then changed his name so that he could go back to kids camp as for a second time. And we sought him out and thought, this is not what he should be doing. And you can see he's smiling very cheekily.
I think he's understanding you. I think he's really
totally understanding me.
He knows what you're saying.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I remember that.
But it's amazing to know that he's talking to them and inspire. I think he's literally a living inspiration to all these kids, that they can be conservationists that day, and that can change their lives and the lives of so much of the wildlife and the community that they live in.
Yeah, well, he's an inspiration for all of us. Maybe he can talk about what age boys are trained to become warriors, and how does that happen? How does a boy become a warrior?
About the whole transition, boy to warrior.
Amari aji asal tengah ada baya aku baya yang masuk ke toka ini nuna kalau murah aji.
Solomon can actually say more about that because he's been through it too.
Aku keluar dua ke kita kapagara ini gua nak dua ke itu kena kayak mana cakap nasi ramai aku mau dua kan nak aku nak dua kan yang rapai kala ini mana tanya nak dua kalau itu nong orang lucu berapa kemarin yang belain nak kalau yang meran nak tu kau tu kena nak dua yang meran itu menjarnya kalau dua bayi nak kalau kita mana kalau kaya luar Asian jenaknya nak dua kaya mata nak ya kalau dia kalau kau ini yang dua sana ini lengan dua kan asal lagi itu kena kama mana Asian gua jundan dari di mana itu anaknya kata luar.
Cousin is saying first you start as an herder before you are circumcised. Then you start, your mom make a goat skin for you, and he used to paint a black. He crushes charcoal, and then he painted it. He will give it to you. That will be your cloth, and then you now group yourself, and then you'll be taken by the elders up to the mountain in the north and pick Arabica gum. Then you come back now, and then you go for water, and then also the arrows. Then you get circumcised.
Solomon's like summed this whole thing up in like a minute. It's an amazing ceremony. So basically, he's a herder, then he's given goat skin from his mom, and his mom will paint sort of charcoal on the goat skin so it's black. He puts on the black skin together with all the boys who are not circumcised. They're all still young boys. Then together with the elders, they head up into the mountains to find a very special gum from a tree. And that gum has a real significant role in their ceremony. Then they all come back, they have to get water, they're in the villages. And as a group of boys, then they go through the circumcision ceremony. And they go through that, and this happened 2 years ago, just about 2 years ago. It was May 2020, and we were very privileged to be able to spend time with Cassian and his family in his village, and Junior also. So we got to see Junior and Cassian become warriors, and that definitely is a day I think none of us will ever forget, and a day they'll never forget. They always say it's one, you guys say it's like one of your favorite days, right? David, you become a warrior. And so very, very special ceremony. And that picture Rasan was talking about, where there was a slide in our presentation where someone was putting red ochre on Cassian's back. So that was a very significant moment, because there's a moment in their ceremony where they have to throw out these arrows, and that happened just before he did that. So yes, a very special time becoming a warrior, and we have come full circle. We've had warriors for 10 years, and now we have them becoming elders, like Jenneria is an elder now, and the new generation coming, which has been really exciting to see.
Someday you'll be showing the side by side of these young men as young men and then elders, right? Just like you do with Jenneria.
Like Junior and Jenneria. There's a great photo of Junior towering above Jenneria, and he used to be this little kid just below Jenneria before.
Oh, so great. I think that kind of wraps us up of where we are. I do want to ask one last question of how can this group of people that are interested and passionate support Warrior Watch and support Iwaso Lions?
Rasan, go for it.
Well, I think you probably heard smatterings through our presentation of things that, are needed. I think, without those night vision binoculars, we wouldn't have been able to see those lions in Lorien. And without cameras, we're not able to do the whisker spot. So there's all these little things that we need, to keep the Warrior Watch program going. We've got the warriors as part of the Warrior Watch program and all of the wider things that support it. We've got field officers, and we have, scouts, and of course the lion governors, and all of these people who are doing this work every day in different ways. And we need to keep that going. We need fuel, we need food, we need all of those sorts of things. So financial support is really, really critical and really helpful. It's very helpful, especially for this particular program. We are currently in a transition period where one of our big funders for the Warrior Watch program is not funding us at the moment. And so all the help that we can get to keep warriors working and on the ground and doing the work that they do would be really, really helpful for us. And of course, we'd love to hear more from everybody. So, if you follow us on social media and engage us, we'd really like to hear, our team gets a lot of energy from knowing that people from all over the world are part of us and hearing about our work and, caring about this culture that has kept lions alive. I think I might have covered most of the things, but Shivani, if you can think of one or two other things, go ahead.
No, I think you did a great job. We would love support towards Warrior Watch or any of our Iwaso Lions projects. And often salaries are the hardest things to get funding for. So any support towards that would be fantastic. So thank you all. We really appreciate any support you can give us.
Great.
Thank
Shivani, Resan, Cassie, and Solomon, thank you all for being here and for teaching us all about your different programs. You guys are a force to be reckoned with, and it is an honor to partner with you
Sorry.
on all of these things. He's coming around there.
He's coming around.
There he is. Hi.
Hi.
So for all of you with us today, I'm sorry we didn't get to quite all the questions, but know that all of us are available. Just shoot an email, give the office a call. We can connect you with Shivani and Rasan and make sure that those questions can be answered and you can learn more. You know, as Rasan said, we deeply appreciate your attendance, and I hope you all know that just by being here today, you're supporting conservation. Knowing that there's an army of people across the globe that are interested in the work of this incredible team reminds us that we all have a role to play in conservation, and that these guys aren't alone out there in the bush saving this species, that all of you are behind them and supporting them, and that goes a really long way. So just by being here, you're supporting. Of course, every gift helps, and we need to keep supporting the warriors, but I just want to thank you all for being here. We hope that you'll join us for our next Closer Look, which will be the second one. It'll be on May 27th, where we'll be talking more about our new California Wildlife Program. It's our first program in the US, and it focuses on the connectivity of landscapes for mountain lions, primarily in the Bay Area, but also beyond that. Megan has put a bunch of links in the chat for you of programming, where you can donate, where you can join us for our next expo, which is on April 23rd. So just sign up at wcnexpo.org for your free ticket, and you can see information about some more amazing programs such as these guys. So again, I want to thank you all for helping us today. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out, and we hope to see you again soon. Thanks so much. Take care.